Yes, President Wiseman. I am present. Ms. Grisomkowski.
Here.
Ms. Ryan.
Here.
Mr. Dimick.
Here.
Ms. Dodd.
Here.
Ms. Cotter.
Here.
And Mr. Wiseman.
Here.
Present and account.
Thank you very much. Could everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I will tell you that I am extraordinarily impressed with the little voices out there reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. You guys did a marvelous job. Thank you very much for adding to it. Don't usually hear that. The other, we have approval of the agenda, I do want to make it a point that there are citizens participation forms over on the far wall. I would like to thank everyone for attending tonight's Huron Valley Board of Education meeting. We welcome Huron Valley Schools community input and comments. If you have any comments or concerns regarding the agenda or non-agenda items, please fill out the requested information on the form that is over there and provide it to Lori Hill, our administrative assistant, and we will recognize you depending upon whether it's a comment regarding agenda item or non-agenda. This is an opportunity to hear from you, but it is limited to 3 minutes, and it's really not an opportunity for comments, but for the Board of Education to hear from you. Approval of agenda. We have the agenda in front of us. The only change that I would ask, and I know that our people that are here in the audience will be disappointed, but I ask that we move the items from the board president to after recognition and school presentations. I guess the audience isn't that disappointed. So with that, could we have a vote on the approval, or could I have a motion to approve the agenda with that friendly amendment?
I'll motion to approve the agenda with the amendment suggested.
All right.
And I'll support it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Motion made by Member Dodd, seconded by Member Cotter. Could I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter.
Here. Oh, yes.
Ms. Grisomkowski.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
And Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. With that recognition, Dr. Salah.
Good evening. Tonight, we want to recognize 3 of our many incredible educators we have within the Huron Valley School District. A couple of weeks ago, Dr. Salah, along with many of the board members, had an opportunity to surprise these 3 teachers in their classrooms with the Huron Valley Schools Teacher of the Year Award. Let's take a look.
Yeah, Ayana, can you hook people up with some pencils? There. Thank you. All right. So, can anyone think of another way to say pretty? What's another word for pretty?
Teaching is a second career for me. Initially, I got my degree in telecommunication. I thought I wanted to work in TV and radio. I wanted to do something where I felt like I could make a difference.
I was testing you. You passed. Good job.
Honestly, I'm inspired by my students every day when I come in. Working in an alternative setting, the students don't always have a lot of support at home. Some of them struggle even just to get to school. So the fact that they get up every day and get themselves to school, maybe with no help, and just work towards that diploma.
Ms. DeVito has been named the High School Teacher of the Year. For all of the Huron Valley Schools, which is
Oh,
a
huge.
So I have a certificate here that says, in recognition of your outstanding contributions to the academic achievement and personal growth of students in the Huron Valley Schools for the 22-23 school year. Congratulations, we're so. We have a student here that wrote the recommendation. It is very.
Wow, I literally am speechless right now. My heart is beating so fast.
Thank you guys. I don't know, I feel so lucky to work on this building and working with you students. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. This is the best staff in the world. And thank you guys.
I'm so in shock, honestly. It's really nice to be recognized. I really feel like part of a team here, that I couldn't do my job without our amazing administration and the support of my colleagues.
You can do each word, like do everything for one word and then move on, or some of you prefer to get all your definitions done and then go back and do the color, symbol, image. Either way is totally fine.
The kids inspire me daily. The fact that some of the challenges that you see them overcome, and when a light bulb sort of goes off in a kid's head on something that they've really struggled with and they suddenly understand it, and just that joy for learning and all of that.
Guess what we're here to do? Our teacher was named the Middle School Teacher of the Year for Huron Valley Schools, and we're here. We're here to present a certificate in recognition of your outstanding contributions to the academic achievement and personal growth of students in the Huron Valley Schools for the 22-23 school year. For you,
Thank you.
we have some balloons for you. We have some flowers for you.
Thank you.
I have to say it was a shock when everyone showed up and were blowing off confetti cannons in my classroom to learn. It was really humbling to find out that people sort of recognize the hard work and passion that I put into the job, and the response that I've gotten from people congratulating me and the idea that they felt I was completely deserving of it was really humbling.
I knew since I was pretty young, actually, as my third grade teacher that brought me in, which is unique and interesting because now I teach third grade. But I loved her, and she just did a lot for me that year and kind of changed my life.
So parallel lines, we talked about those. It's like that roller, like when we're going on a railroad track, they'll never cross each other. So what happens on the parallel?
The staff, I think the smiles on the kids' faces, it doesn't even matter if it's your own classroom when you're staying in the hallway and little kids that you don't even know their names give you a hug on the way in the morning. That makes all the difference and kind of keeps you going.
I love it. Nice work. I'm going to skip down to the bottom. Does anybody remember acute or obtuse?
To see a kid get something that's been struggle for a long time, and then their face lights up, that's what brings you back the next day.
So we're all here for a very special occasion.
Hello, everybody.
And I have a certificate to share with your teacher based on a letter that was written by Charlie and your colleagues and your principal. Because your teacher has been named the Elementary Teacher of the Year. And I have the certificate, and here's what it says, okay, boys and girls? It says, in recognition of your outstanding contributions to academic achievement and personal growth of students in the Huron Valley Schools for the 2022-2023 school. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Emotional. I cry a lot. I cry easy. I think I didn't know what was going on, and so when everybody started walking in, it was more shock and more shock. And I think my parents' faces is what led to the biggest surprise for me. I was so glad they were included in that moment, and then my kids cheering made a huge difference. And then more and more staff kept coming in, and I thought, oh my gosh, This is wild. I am Jamie Page, the Huron Valley Elementary Teacher of the Year, and I am HVS.
I am Kelly Haas. I'm Huron Valley Schools Middle School Teacher of the Year, and I am HVS.
I'm Annie Zambito, Huron Valley's High School Teacher of the Year, and I am HVS.
We all strive to be the best and work hard, but to be chosen among so many amazing teachers that I work with, I just feel honored that I get to represent us.
Thank you. If Annie Zambito, Kelly Haas, and Jamie Page, along with their principals, Ben Dowker from Harbor High, Sean Durso from Oak Valley Middle School, and Tricia Campbell from Highland Elementary, could please come up near the projection screen for us to take a picture of you. But first, we would like to give the board an opportunity to say a few words.
Any comments? Yes, Mrs. Pastana.
Well, I'm not sure that I can change or say anything more than that hasn't already been said, but we appreciate all of you. I'm so happy. I was honored to be a part of that day, and anyway, just congratulations. You are all well-deserved of it, and of the recognition, and thank you for all you do, because it really means a lot to us.
Yes, Ms. Cotter.
Yes, I wanted to share in their recognition and let you know how happy I am. And I also want our listening audience to know that our teachers in Huron Valley work very hard. And you've had a hard 3 years. And I'm so excited that we were able to honor 3 of our finest staff. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Dodd.
So I had the privilege of being in 2 of your 3 rooms, and the thing that made me the most excited was how excited your students were. They know you're the best, and for them to see you get this honor, I think is something they will always remember. They're fortunate to have you. They're fortunate to learn from you, and it was such an honor to have them there watching you. They're truly excited, like thrilled faces that they know this person who's so wonderful. So that was an exciting part of this that we didn't see on the video, but was really special.
Thank you. Yes, Amy?
Just, of course, I have to say something. You guys are amazing, and thank you for crying, because then I didn't feel bad that I was crying. Congratulations. Almost every day I'm reminded of the importance of the role of our educators. Every day you come to work prepared to do what feels like the impossible, and yet you achieve it every single day. So congratulations. Well earned. Well earned.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? I just want to say thank you. We are truly fortunate to have you as part of HVS. You represent our professional staff in so many different ways. You live and breathe HVS. You live and breathe our community. You live and breathe our students each and every day. And like I said, once again, we are just very blessed to have you as part of our team. And you certainly represent your entire professional community to the utmost. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we need to have a picture.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, Jeanette's going to take a quick picture of you, but we would love to have the whole board come up and take a group picture with them. And while they were doing that, I just want to say thank you once again. All 3 of these teachers are now nominated for the Oakland County Outstanding Teacher of the Year Award, and that ceremony will take place May 4th. So we certainly hope that one of our teachers, because we know it is deserved across the board. So thank you again for your participation in the video. I know you all were very excited. So thank you and congratulations again.
think next on the agenda is our school presentations. Dr. Salah?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to invite our director of the Apollo Early Childhood Center to the microphone, Miss Jennifer Kidd.
We have quite the crowd to navigate through today. Ooh. My name is Jennifer Kidd. I am the Director of Early Childhood for our district. And with me today, I have our early intervention team. So before we even begin, we would like to say thank you for allowing us to present tonight. You may or may not know, April is the month of the young child. So it is a true treat for us to be able to be up here and talk about all things early intervention, early childhood, and Apollo specifically. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our fabulous team. We have a purpose tonight to really share what early intervention looks like in our district and really share an awareness of what our team does and the impact that it has on our district. So with that, I'll turn it over to our team.
Good evening. I'm very honored to be presenting tonight on behalf of the Huron Valley Schools Early Intervention Team. I'm Nikki Schneider. I'm a speech and language pathologist with Early Intervention, and I'm also the intake and child find coordinator for Huron Valley. I have Audrey Dunbar, who's also a speech pathologist with our team. Mel McGinnis is our physical therapist. Becky Lucas is one of our early intervention teachers. Nancy Bernacki is another one of our early intervention teachers. And we have Michelle Eklund, our school social worker, also part of our team. I'm supposed to be clicking. Do I hit the middle one? I'm sorry, no one gave me instructions on how to use the clicker. We have Courtney Sinclair Baker, who's an occupational therapist with our program, and also Sue Trotter is a school psychologist, and I think they're going to try and get me reset, and maybe they'll help me click. Early intervention is a unique program. Most students start their education in Huron Valley in kindergarten, but really we have students enrolled in early intervention that might only be 1 month old. So their journey begins after birth. We get referrals right out of the hospital very often. So NICUs refer to our team and doctors. All right, someone's going to have to tell me. Do I click? Okay, she's sorry. So it's a different journey for our families. And we start right away sometimes with babies and toddlers at the very earliest ages. And federally, special education is mandated for ages 3 to 21, but Michigan goes beyond that and some other states do as well. So we are a birth to 25 state. So we start services right after birth, which is, I think, if anyone has been in the situation where they know a family member or a friend who's had a child that has a medical diagnosis right in the hospital, you don't want to have to wait until you're 3 to start getting help with your child if you're anxious about how they might develop. So the fact that we start right at birth is a great comfort to a lot of families. And our team is really talented in what we do, and we're able to get in right away and start to support families. Sorry, it looks like I did a job on the slides. I apologize for that. So that's our team. We kind of went through and we introduced. And then, like I said, many of our referrals, you're going to help me. Thank you. We were fortunate to go to the State Early On Conference this fall as part of our professional development, where we joined hundreds of other early intervention teams from across the state of Michigan. Oh, all right. It's just on auto. We're just moving forward. Okay. So we do, like I said, work with babies and toddlers who are either at risk to have developmental delays or they actually are showing delays. And we use a caregiver coaching model to support families within their homes. So we don't go in as an expert and work with the child for just an hour a week. We go into the home and we're coaching parents what they can do throughout the week to be supporting their children as a best practice model. You want to click me one ahead? Thank you. No, is that you? Okay. Like I said, we get referrals from pediatricians very often. So when children go for their well visits, if they aren't meeting developmental milestones, the pediatricians will refer to our team for further evaluation. We get referrals from parents, neighbors that tell parents who are concerned, word of mouth, public health. So child protective service workers refer to us. And then we provide a comprehensive in-home developmental evaluation for the child. Our most common referral is a speech and language delay of some sort, but we go in and look at the whole child. So we still evaluate gross motor skills, fine motor skills, social skills, social emotional. We look at the whole child when we're doing the evaluation. Those evaluations are in the family's homes. So even though we have a very lovely classroom at the Apollo Center, which we do use, we spend the majority of the time traveling to the family's homes. So evaluations are completed in their home, and then our services are completed in families' homes and in daycare settings, so in the children's natural environments. We have an at-risk program, so Part C services are considered to be at risk. So that means that the child has some sort of condition that makes it possible they might not follow a typical course of development. So if they're born with a hearing impairment or a palate, some type of heart condition, they're considered to be high risk. They might not be showing any delays, but they automatically qualify to be in our Part C services and have one of our team members come out to the home and work with the family to make sure that the child is making progress. And then other children are actively showing some sort of delay. Those children can be eligible under special education guidelines, and they receive more service. So typical Part C students might get an hour of service once every 3 weeks, and children who are eligible under special education guidelines might get on average 2 hours a week of service from our team. Our days look a little different because we are in families' homes and we're traveling across the school district. So we're very often in the car and going back and forth. We do have a home base at Apollo where we have a classroom. We can do parent-toddler groups in for socialization with our 2-year-olds as part of their service. And we also have a lovely office space where we can do our paperwork that's mandated for special education and Part C students. We're also fortunate to do weekly teaming because we're a transdisciplinary model. So I'm a speech pathologist, and sometimes I'm working with a child who might be doing something like toe walking or falling, and I might need to consult with a physical therapist to get ideas of how to support that family. This year so far, we've worked with 133, probably more than that now, families in Huron Valley schools. We currently have 65 families receiving either Part C or at-risk services or special education services. Different than a typical third grade classroom where you have your students the whole year, our students leave us right when they turn 3. So throughout the year, we are moving students out to other settings, whether that's our early childhood special education program, ancillary walk-in speech therapy services, or we're hooking them up with community services, private preschools, library groups, other things that they can do if they're leaving our services. Huron Valley is very similar, I think, to the national study that shows that children who have some sort of developmental delay and receive service, 42% of those children who've had developmental delays no longer need special education services by kindergarten as a result of early intervention services. So we do have an impact when we're able to work with very young children and their families and intervene early. So hopefully this video will play. I worked with Haley. She was a parent that I worked and I think she does a beautiful job from a parent perspective, sharing what it was like to participate in our program.
My name is Haley Landry, and my 2.5-year-old Blair is enrolled in the early intervention program. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about our experience with it. I think at first, when the pediatrician recommended early on for her due to a speech delay, I was a little bit skeptical, to be honest, just because I felt like it was kind of rushed through and wasn't really well explained. But then, 3 months later, she still had a significant delay. And one option for us was to pay for a speech therapist privately, but I decided to call early on and give it a try, and I'm so happy I did. I feel like if more people understood what the program really looks like and that it's a totally free resource, they would totally jump on the opportunity to enroll just like we did. And at first I was honestly really just, I think, a little bit nervous because I wasn't sure what the severity of her delays were and what was all encompassed in that. But Nikki and her team, right from the first interaction, I felt like took it really slow with us, which was nice because I feel like we were able to really ease in. They paid a ton of attention to detail and I feel like really paid attention and tailored that beginning time of testing and explaining everything to Blair specifically. And that made me just feel at ease with what we were getting into. And I guess helped me trust right off the bat that she was in good hands because this was somebody that was really paying attention to her. So in the beginning, we just learned a ton of sign language, which was actually a really helpful bridge and something I hadn't tried before. But also, I think what was really helpful for me is the early on team, telling me what words were great baseline action, starter words. But more importantly, teaching me how to incorporate them into things we were already doing during the day because as a mom of 2 under 2, I didn't have a ton of additional time to do exercises with her outside of our daily activities. So Nikki, showing me signs for, those few words we would work on those first few weeks, as well as showing me ways to incorporate them into things that we were already doing, was beyond helpful. And I'm sure that it's tough for her and the team to tailor that to different families whose routines are completely different. So I really appreciated that. And then over time, those, few kind of action words, we built on those with other adjectives. And, soon enough now, we've probably been in the program almost 11 months and she's speaking almost full sentences. Her progress has been absolutely incredible. And I can and do recommend early on to everybody I know just because it's helped her so much. Not only with Blair's speech specifically, but also just with other transitions in general that involve babies and toddlers. My son Luke comes to a lot of the play groups and he has been going through, eating transitions, and she's gone through potty training transitions and their sleeping transitions. And what my favorite thing about working with Nikki is, when she comes, not only do we talk about her speech milestones, but she also helps me develop a plan for a lot of the other big transitions that babies make. So I just think that, for that reason, I felt like sometimes she's my own personal baby therapist, which has been amazing. So again, I'm happy to recommend early on to whoever. We've had a great experience with it. So thank you early on for everything you've done.
And now I'm going to turn things over to Mel McGinnis, who's our PT. Many people on our team work with this next family, and this is just kind of one other perspective of another type of family that we work with. So.
Thank you, Nikki, and thank you again for having us tonight to share our program and the work we do that we're so very proud of and passionate about. So this is just a real quick look at another exceptional journey that we were able to be a part of. These twins, named Charlie and Willow, were born very early at 25 weeks old, 25 weeks gestation, weighing 1 pound and 12 ounces and 1 pound and 11 ounces. Charlie came home after 4.5 months in the NICU, and his sister Willow came home after 8.5 months in the NICU. We were involved with the family and supporting them within the first month of them each coming home. So we were supporting Charlie for 4 months and mom, who was trying to balance being back and forth to support one baby at home and one baby who was still struggling in the NICU. They had multiple medical conditions, including retinopathy of prematurity in the eyes. They both had that. Willow had a heart murmur. They both had stenosis. Charlie had 2 hernias. They both had reflux. Willow had bronchopulmonary dysplasia and pulmonary hypertension, which resulted in her having to get a trach and a feeding tube, which you can see in one of the photos when she did finally get home. She still had those in place. And as I said, we joined this family as soon as those kiddos were home. So you can imagine mom's learning a whole lot, and we were there to support the kiddos as well as the family with navigating this journey. Next slide. So these are just a little couple second clips to show you. So at 10 months old, this is where we were with them from a motor standpoint. So Willow in the top is just starting to lift her head. She's still on the ventilator for 24 hours a day. She had just been home a couple of months. So those of you who haven't been around babies in a while, at 10 months old, typically we're crawling on hands and knees, pulling to stand and cruising. So this gives you an idea of where we were for Willow. Charlie down in the bottom had been home a few more months before his sister, as we said. So he was rolling, and this was the day he first started to commando crawl. And that's one of the fun things is mom immediately took a video and texted it to me because they want to share that with us because we've been a part of that success. So that's sister, big sister, trying to encourage him to roll over and get to the toy that he wants. So that was the first time he did that at 10 months old, still on his belly. So they were making steps, but there was still a lot of work to be done. And this is Willow and Charlie now. You might notice a few changes in the video. So a couple of things you might notice. Not only are they walking, they're running, they're laughing, they're also talking. And Willow, you'll notice, has nothing attached to her anymore, which is quite a big deal. She's off the ventilator. Her trach has been removed and is healed. And they are working on getting rid of the feeding tube as well. And they are getting ready to transition on to preschool. So that's just one journey. And like I said, and like Nikki said, they started with myself and the OT, then speech therapy got involved, and then they went to parent talk group and worked with a few of our teachers. So we really make sure that we touch every single part of the child's needs, either by teaming or by doing visits together. So thank you for your time tonight. And I don't know if we ask for questions. I don't know, or we do that later. Does anybody have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Amy.
So about 20 years ago, we had to take advantage of your group, and it was truly amazing what the work that you do for a parent who is struggling to figure out what's going on and how come their child isn't advancing. I keep saying this word miraculous tonight, but there is some truth to that. For a parent, it's everything. So thank you for the work that you do. It is monumental.
Thank you for your comments, Amy. Yes, Denise.
I echo, thank you for the work that you do. This isn't a deep question, but what is on your shirts? Because they're all amazing. Are they little houses?
Yes. That's our kind of unofficial logo, I guess.
What's it say at the top?
Becky actually designed it for us.
Early intervention.
Huron Valley Early Intervention.
They're fantastic and the colors are great. So thank you. Thank you for all you do. It's amazing.
I want to say just one quick thing too. Those of you that know me, I've been in this district for many years, 28 years, as a school social worker. And my daughter too, success story. I shared last year a letter with some of you. She came through our early intervention program, special ed preschool, and she's graduating high school this year without an IEP and without a 504 plan. So I will attribute that not to me, but to our team. So I just want to share another success story here.
Any other comments, questions? I too want to, on behalf of the board and the community, thank you for everything that you do each and every day. I think it really drives home the fact that we are even more than a pre-K adult type school district. We provide, I might say that we provide services cradle to grave. And I truly believe that we are a community resource and really a resource for all kinds of people. Our board is committed to student achievement, and student achievement means many different things. And when you see something like that as it relates to the progress that you made with your program that you provided to the twins is an example of student achievement at its very basic level. So on behalf of the rest of the board in our community, thank you very much for everything you do.
Thank you.
Dr. Salah, we have another presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. That was incredible. Thank you again to our early childhood team. Next this evening, I would like to invite the proud principal of Highland Elementary School. I know she represents a lot of... Thank you, Mr. Burke. I appreciate you leading the charge.
Come on up. You can just kind of stand here. You can stand in front a little bit. You want to come and stand in? You can stand in front too if you want. Hey, stand in front of the podium. Gotta be seen. Charlie, move over. Stand in front. Stand in front. All right.
See, not just a proud principal, but lots of proud Highland Hound students as well tonight. So we are so excited tonight to highlight some of the things. We obviously don't have time for all of them, but some of the things that make Highland Elementary such a special place to come to learn and to come to work every day. And the best part will be at the end when you get to hear from the most important people here, our students. So just a few things about our school. As of last week, we had 285 students, junior kindergarten through 5th grade, and we love having a junior kindergarten program at our building. We feel that that is not only just a gift of time for our littlest learners, but it is a gift to the rest of us at our school as well. 56% of our students are economically disadvantaged. 19% of them receive special education supports and services in some form, and 1.8% of our students are English learners. We are very proud that we are a school-wide Title I building, and how you qualify for those special funds are schools with 40% or more students that are economically disadvantaged can qualify for those supports. And as I noted in the earlier slide, we are at 56%. So it is wonderful because all of these supports are available to all of our students. We're not just able to provide them to the students that fit into that subgroup, but we can provide those benefits and those supports and those resources to all of our students, and they help to close academic achievement gaps, and they help to provide a fair and equitable, high-quality education for all of our students. Another thing that we are very proud of at Highland Elementary is our emotionally impaired program. And so all of our students throughout the district who are emotionally impaired come to our building, and we have that program right inside our regular JK through 5 school. And it is a comprehensive intervention program for our emotionally impaired students who have exhausted less restrictive environments. And that's always our goal when we're working with our students. We want them in the least restrictive environment possible while providing them the greatest opportunity for success. And that is what our program does. And it is definitely something that we are very, very proud of at our school. And we specialize in helping students with those behavioral skills that they need and some of those challenges that they may have that may be impacting their academics. And our goal is always to branch out into less restrictive environments and hopefully integrate them into their general education settings as well. Another very, very important point of pride in our school is our reinvented and reimagined relationship with our parent group, what we refer to as HEPTO, so Highland Elementary PTO, and our president, Mandy Bax. Oh, she moved. You moved on me. Mandy, it has been one of the biggest joys being a principal, being able to partner with you. And I am inspired to do better every day because of the work that you and your team does for our families, and many of our amazing parents are here tonight that are greatly involved in our parent group. And our schools are only as successful as our relationships with our families and our parents. So thank you every day. What you do trickles into the classroom. I know I told you that this morning, but it really does. You improve the lives of our teachers, which impacts our kids every day. So just a few highlights of what they do and what they provide for us. We knew Sawyer would steal the show. We knew this. We were ready. We were kind of hoping to. They provide a free Lego club that is open to all of our students. They do our big fundraiser for the year, the Fun Run. They do amazing assemblies, which Sawyer's going to talk about a little bit later. Spring Fling, which is an amazing spring event that is open to our families. They help us get volunteers for everything that we could possibly need, every event, even when we need help out at recess or in the lunchroom sometimes. Lots of amazing family events, glow dances, and the thing that I love most that Mandy and her team has been able to do is we work really hard to make sure that our events are low cost and open to all families and available for everyone to access. They purchased an extra piece of playground equipment that is currently being installed right now. They do amazing things to support and appreciate our staff, and they provide teacher stipends to help provide with resources in the classroom that teachers can purchase. So in just a minute, I'm going to invite our PBIS building coordinator, Doug Burke, here, but before he takes the microphone, kids, we're going to show all of these wonderful people here how we start our day and how we are mindful about thinking about positive behavior and the choices that we make. Every day at announcements, we say the pause pledge. So I would like you guys to start with the pause pledge. And I'm going to put the microphone over here so they can hear you. Now,
Emily.
1, 2, 3.
I pledge allegiance to
earlier.
I can't remember that. Today I will do my personal best, act responsibly, work and play safely, and show respect at all times. I am Highland Hound.
You got it. And then we do the pledge right after that. So that just, like I said, sets the tone for our whole day and gets us thinking about our choices. And Mr. Burke has been a wonderful teammate in this amazing work that is happening at Highland. And you won't find a guy who is more positive or more supportive and encouraging of our students. So there you go.
I don't hold buttons and do that kind of business. I still have a TV where I have to stand up and change the channel. So we don't get any channels though. PBIS, it's positive behavior. You heard it before. I looked at the schedule. You've gone through it, so I'm not going to waste your time on that too much. I have a good time doing this. These are good kids here. Most of them have been Highland Hounds. Oh, like the announcements? Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. All right. I get a lot of compliments on that sound, actually, or comments, whatnot. We make breakfast, me and Dr. Campbell and Mrs. Apep, my co-worker, we make breakfast for the students. We were just making, you're looking at me like, oh, weird. Look over there in the people. Yes. She's like glaring at me. I'm not a fan of that look, and I've seen it before. So we make breakfast, and then we decided to add a little thing. We had chocolate chips to it. Then the kids that didn't get chocolate chips before, it was a big uprise. I don't know. It was going to hit the news, but it never did, thank goodness. But it's about positiveness and getting the kids, and just there's a lot of negativity in this world, and so let's jack it up and just be positive, do positive things. Woohoo! Yeah! Mr. Burke. Okay, never mind. Never mind that part. All right, it's all you.
All right, and now for the best part. You are going to hear from our most important people about why they feel lucky to be Highland Hounds. So why don't you guys do you want to just start?
Okay. Hi, my name is Charlie. I am in 5th grade. I am lucky to be a Highland Hound because I enjoy being able to help younger kids make new friends and learn, just like my 5th graders did for me. My name is Lucy. I'm in second grade. I am lucky to be a Highland Hound because I have friends and family to support me.
My name is Otelia. I'm in second grade. I am lucky to be a Highland Hound because you can make a lot of friends. Adults make us feel safe, and everybody in our school is kind.
My name is Sawyer.
And so you said you like assemblies, like the bug assembly. And what did the bug assembly teach you?
Because it's about like tarantulas and millipedes.
And you told me it taught you to face your fears.
And I faced fears. And I faced my own. My name is Stelina. I am in kindergarten. I am lucky to be Highland Hound because we help people. My name is Lucy Kate Vogel. I am in first grade. I am lucky to be a Highland Hound because the teachers are nice and care about us. They help us learn new things.
My name is Emily. I am in third grade. I am lucky to be a Highland Hound because the teachers are nice, caring, and helpful, and they help us whenever we need it.
My name is Kendall. I'm in third grade. I am lucky to be a Highland Hound because the teachers make it feel safe here by locking the doors during a shelter-in-place.
My name is William. I'm in fourth grade. I'm lucky to be a Highland Hound because of all the great students and staff.
My name is Parker. I am in third grade. I'm lucky to be a Highland Hound because the teachers treat me nice and kind.
My name is Graham, and I'm in fifth grade, and I'm lucky to be a Highland Hound because I have lots of good friends to play with.
My name is Porter. I am in the fourth grade, and I am lucky to be a Highland Hound because everybody in our school is kind.
My name is Holly. I am in third grade. I'm lucky to be a Highland Hound because everyone includes you.
Because you haven't seen enough of me yet, we're going to spend a little bit, went through great pains. We are giving certificates to the board. I did a lot of research on these. In 21, 23, this would be worth $7 each. So put them in like a cellophane or whatever to save them. The first one, honorary, it goes to Mr. Dimmick, Jacob Dimmick. And you are going to give that to him. This is the Hound of the Month honorary certificate, proudly presented to Jacob Dimmick for demonstrating grit. And Lord have mercy, you folks need grit doing your jobs. So, Mr. Dimmick, put up your hand so this young lady can deliver your certificate. I know everybody's getting one. All right, everybody's going to rush on stage. Hound of the Month honorary certificate to Mr. Tom Wiseman. Right there. There we go. Nice job, Lucy Kate. It is signed by Lucy Kate herself. It wasn't forged. Oh, you left him hanging. Nice. That's because his grandkids go to our school, so she figured that. And now we have Amy Griswoldowski. I want you to know I had to work on that one a lot, but it's a lot easier to say than it looks. Congratulations. Oh, that way. And Denise Pistana or Pistana. Denise, where are you? Now, what would you prefer? I mean, which is it? Pistana is what you would say, because that's what I want to say would use. Denise Pistana, congratulations. There we go. Laura Dodd, you have one of those names that I don't have to ask, I think. Good job. Thank you. There you go. We have, we'll save that one to the end. We have Michelle Ryan. Congratulations. Want to go with that one? Yeah, go with Lucy Kate. She'll show you how to do that for next time. And we have the lovely, ever demeaning little Miss Lindsay Cotter. And I wanted to say after 28 years of teaching Huron Valley, and come here, kids, come here. And only a few board meetings and 31 years of teaching. I never kissed a board member before. And I just did. Congratulations.
Thank you, Lucy.
There you go. All right, thank you very much, folks. I should have asked if it was okay first.
I'm sure it was. Any comments or questions for our Highland Hounds? Yes, Ms. Cotter?
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment and let the children know. I too am a Highland Hound. I started my teaching career at Highlandale. I spent 16 years in kindergarten there. And I just want you to know it was during that time, I remember when we adopted the Highland Hound as our school mascot. And it fills my heart today to see so many Highland Hounds presenting here at the board tonight. Thanks, kids, and thanks, Dr. Campbell and Mr. Burke.
And Ms. Cotter, if I'm correct, you had a hand in the colors of our hallways?
I did. I had to find a way that my kindergartners could manage and get around the building to carry notes to teachers.
So the reason we have a blue hallway and a red hallway and a yellow and a purple is because of that nice lady there.
So my kindergartners could find their way.
I try to learn something new every day, and that's something new that I just learned. And based on your history, would it be appropriate for me to ask fellow board member Cotter to give us a Highland Hound noise?
Just a real quick thing on the color coding of the hallways. Back then, when the social studies part of our curriculum, part of it was for our students could navigate around. And by naming the hallways by color, they could find anybody in the building at any time. So just saying,
Great.
It was all part of the education.
It was genius.
Absolutely. Any other comments? I too, it's very appropriate because I'm lucky to be a grandparent of two Highland Hounds. And I will attest, they couldn't be in a better place. They love the school, they love the kids, they love the staff. And I've seen tremendous growth because of the opportunities that they've been provided. And I will also tell you that this week I was delivered, and if I had thought about it, I too would have worn my Highland Hound new hoodie that I just received. So thank you very, very much for the presentation.
We love Quinn and Cam too.
Yep. So they're part of the 285. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Now, that being said, I know that you're anxiously waiting for the president's report followed by the superintendent's report, and you can stay, but I'm going to recess our meeting for 5 minutes. For those people that would like to leave, you can, but you can also stay if you want. So you have 5 minutes. I think they're literally running. They're running to the door. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, or as much order as I can get.
Only a few rows of chairs.
No. I won't take it personally.
No.
All right, next on the agenda is items from the board president. That's me. Lucky me. Couple things that I do want to spend a few moments on. I do want to thank a number of our school board members that had the opportunity to attend the National School Board Association meeting and give up really their weekend to be able to participate. The National School Board Association 2023 Annual Conference and Exposition is the one national event that brings together educational leaders to learn about best governance practices and gain insight into child development and learn about new programs and technology that can help enrich our students here in Huron Valley. This conference is one of the few, if not only the only place where school board members from around the country can receive the training necessary to address the instructional needs of students and to improve the efficiency of districts such as ours. Along with myself, Lindsay, Denise Pastana, Amy attended along with Dr. Salah Jeffrey and past President Carlson. Dr. Salah and Mr. Carlson, as past president, represented our district well and presented to over 120 fellow board members across the country the work of our Huron Valley School District in an in-depth presentation on the topic of reestablishing trust with your community in the midst of turmoil and hardship. It was well attended and well received, and we all had opportunities as members of this board to discuss our district and answer many questions from fellow board members representing communities, as I said, throughout the country. Denise, Lindsay, and I also had the opportunity to attend a pre-conference that gave us ideas as it relates to becoming more engaged and inclusive with our educational leaders, and I also had the opportunity to attend a pre-conference session on school safety leadership in times of high ambiguity and uncertainty. Throughout Saturday and Sunday, we all attended many seminars and also seminars as it relates to board assessment and school security, along with the power of student voice. And I also had an opportunity to attend a visual and performing arts and engaging all students for success, utilizing that. And last Thursday, Dr. Salah, myself, along with Dr. Salah, myself, Amy over there, and Laura over here, represented our Board of Education at our Vibe in the Valley, which is representatives of not only the school board, but teaching staff. We met with our elementary teachers, and we discussed a variety of topics, including literacy instruction, assessment practices, and other topics that deserve some discussion and follow-up as we as board and administration continue to support our student population. We'll continue this discussion with our next Vibe in the Valley with our secondary teachers on May 4th. I do want to thank all the teachers and our leadership team that participated in last week's meeting. Also, coming up on Friday, April 28th, the Board of Education will be holding a board study session focusing on board self-evaluation, the purpose being to increase our understanding and our commitment to Board of Education performance and improvement through board assessment. Board goals and board expectations related to member to member of the board and Board of Education members to our superintendent will be discussed. What makes a school board effective, the key work of school boards is something that we will be spending a lot of time on. And I know for a fact that this board is committed on one thing, and that is focusing on student achievement. And part of that assessment will be taking a look at how we're doing as it relates to our vision, our accountability to each other in the district, our policies, our community leadership, and our relationships with each other. So I do appreciate our board taking time out on April 28th, above and beyond what you might see tonight, to really discuss us as a team of 8 and working towards making certain that our school district is the very best it can be. So thank you very much for your time. All right, Dr. Salah, Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening to everybody that's still with us. the three of you that are left. And those of you who are at home watching via live stream, I have a few updates this evening. First and foremost, I just wanted to start. We had an opportunity to acknowledge and recognize our 3 Teachers of the Year, but the excellence does not stop just with our teaching staff. I also received an accolade today from Oakland Schools, which is the intermediate school district that services Oakland County, acknowledging 2 of our bus drivers, Heidi Brown and Sarah Conrad. And I just would read a couple of sentences from the letter that I received here. Proud to inform you that both Heidi and Sarah have been nominated by, by their peers and selected by the committee to receive the 2023 Oakland County Excellence in Transportation Award for the Huron Valley Schools. This award is presented to individuals who exemplify excellence in providing or supporting the safe transportation of pupils in Oakland County. So congratulations to both Heidi and Sarah. I know they care about their jobs very deeply. They care about our students, and they work hard every single day to deliver them to and from school in a way that is safe and meaningful. I wanted to provide an update on our this past week. Also had an opportunity, along with several board members, I believe Ms. Dodd, Ms. Pastana, Ms. Grisomkowski were all present for the Highland ribbon cutting. Those of you who reside in Highland know that there's a lot of really nice work done recently to update and upgrade the township hall, and they just did a remarkable job. I just really appreciate Rick Hamill and the entire community of Highland. They care about their citizens and really value that partnership with Highland Township. Good people. Third, you'll see here on the screen, and for our board members this evening, you also have this document in front of you. Recently had an opportunity to meet with some of our legislative consultants, just really trying to tell the story about the Huron Valley Schools as it relates to our costs for transportation. I think this is really important for our listening audience to hear and know and to understand. As you're talking with policymakers, not only at the local level, but also from other branches of the government and throughout the state. You may not know this, but there was a study recently conducted called the School Finance Research Collaborative. And this study was conducted in 2018, and what it determined is that in order to educate a child in the state of Michigan to mastery of standards, it takes roughly $10,421 to give that child, that general education child, everything they need to be successful. We currently receive $9,150. And here's what's important about this study and the data I'm about to share with you. That does not include children who qualify for free and reduced lunch. There is an additional allocation computed for that. That does not include children that qualify for special education services. There was an additional allocation figured for that. It does not include children that qualify for English language services. There was an additional allocation configured for that. And that does not include the cost of transporting students to and from school every single day. And so we have, as a school district, been advocating for years for recognition and understanding around this transportation piece in particular. So for our listening audience, we have 71 buses in our fleet. We travel about 100 square miles every single day, which represents about 10,000 miles every day. Our bus fleet drives to and from Europe daily. Just a staggering number, 1.8 million miles per year. 430 separate bus runs every day. And of our $9,150, which is not $10,400, which is what it takes minimally just to educate a general ed child, we spend $1,062 just to get 42% of our students to and from school every single day. There are school districts in Oakland County that do not provide buses. They're able to take that full $1,062 and invested in technology, invested in attracting and retaining staff in a variety of domains, invested in additional safety and security measures, invested in additional social and emotional supports for their students. This is frankly wrong. It's just not right. We expend $4 million out of our budget every single year just to get 42% of our children to and from school every single day. It's just a staggering number. So I'm sharing this graphic with our listening audience. If anybody is interested in a PDF version of this, I'm happy to share that with you. Just send us an email to our communications email address and we'll get that to you. And any opportunity I have to speak with our legislators about this, including providing testimony, I will be ready to do that in Lansing. A couple other more standing items that you'll see more routinely from me under superintendent comments. One, just a quick update on our school safety. School safety has been a major focus for us this year. It's part of our strategic plan as well. As I shared here at the board table, we have engaged Recon Management to do a follow-up safety assessment of our buildings. This may become a mainstay for us as a school district, just something that we can do on an annual basis to ensure that we do not slip in terms of our focus on high-quality security practices. I'm pleased to report that we've already had 8 of our buildings visited by Recon. I feel like the security consultant is digging deep because we're doing the right things. We learned the first go around that human behavior is the most important thing as it relates to school safety, ensuring that doors are closed and locked, exterior as well as interior, ensuring that we have the appropriate training, ensuring that our visitor management protocols are really up to speed. And I feel like we're doing really well so far as it relates to these walkthroughs. We have 8 more to go, and I will expect that by May we'll likely have the consultant here at a board meeting and have him walk through the findings. I would just preface that presentation by saying, the security consultant will not go into specific details regarding gaps, just because it's from a best practice perspective. We do not want to share with the world things that we need to get better on from a safety perspective. But for our board, just to know and understand, you will receive a copy of that report as well, and we will have follow-up conversations at the appropriate time and place. And last but not least, strategic plan update. I just report to you that we continue to move forward with the strategic plan. I'm excited that our Education Matters publication, which is coming out shortly, provides a pretty in-depth review of where we are just a few short months into our strategic plan. And this evening, we will be asking the board to support the Plant Moran Cressa contract. And I'll save the rest of my comments for that when we get to that particular agenda item. And I believe that is all I have this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salah. Next on the agenda is student leadership.
Yes, we have Everett here from Lakeland.
Welcome, Everett.
All righty. Good evening, Huron Valley. I'm Everett. I'm from Lakeland High School, class president of the senior class. And I'm just going to give a quick update of how things are going at Lakeland and what's going on. So first off, just want to congratulate our top students in the class: Owen Mladenoff, Kyle Kraus, Brandon Verbick, Michael Petichowski, Lauren Herring, Abby Deloney, Anna Zaremba, Alexis Gunther, Sophie Mensch, Salatorian, Lucy Martin, and valedictorians Katie Janopoulos and Mahana Gallmeyer. Just congratulations to all of them and their hard work this past year and through all of high school in general. Those students get to attend a breakfast on May 15th. Personally, I think the class president should have been invited to this breakfast, but that's completely fine. Maybe we can work something out. On that same day, there will be a college athlete signing for, the college athletes. They sign the stuff. That's May 15th. And May 24th, we have our mock car crash, so I invite all of the board to be there. May 24th, I don't have an exact time, but I invite all of you to be there. So, that is about all I have to share. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Everett.
Oh, wait, one more thing. Sorry. I just want to thank Mr. Burke. He was my teacher many years ago at Brooks Elementary. And so I credit most of, not all of it, but most of my success to Mr. Burke.
Not all? That's very nice. Thank you very much, Everett, and thank you very much for the report and also participating in our teaching, learning, technology, the information that in your opinions and the work that you do on behalf of the Board of Education and your fellow students is certainly respected and appreciated. So thank you very much. Next on the agenda is our association communication. Jennifer?
I can definitely not top today. No way. Best board meeting ever. We have to invite Sawyer and Mr. Burke every time. Good evening. On behalf of the HVEA, I too want to congratulate Jamie Page, Kelly Haas, and Annie Zambito on this year's HVS Teachers of the Year. It is an honor so well deserved as they truly support their students and families as well as providing mentorship to all of their colleagues. I'm here tonight to give you a 3-week heads up. In 3 weeks, May 7th through 13th, it's Teacher Appreciation Week 2023. We are so fortunate in Huron Valley to have incredible and dedicated families, parent-teacher organizations, and administrators who shower our staff each year with breakfast goodies, gift cards, taco lunch bars, flowers, and sometimes our favorite Starbucks drinks. There's a theme for the week, a decorated lounge, and numerous handwritten notes and drawings from our students. As educators, we appreciate all the food and gifts, as well as we acknowledge all of the time that it takes for you to put into this, to put it together for us. We are grateful for the partnerships we've developed in our schools and community, and we know that our community recognizes the hard work that we do each day to support our students and families. Teacher Appreciation Week comes along just at the right moment in school because April's like the perfect storm. We have spring weather, well, maybe not today, but normally we have spring weather emerging, which makes it challenging to focus on academics when the warm breeze is blowing and there's sunshine in the air. It's the time of the year when our kids take off their coats during recess the minute it's over 40 degrees, as long as the sun is shining. April also brings standardized testing. Our educators strive each day to find the delicate balance between emphasizing the importance of these tests while easing the anxiety these testing sessions sometimes bring to our students. And if those reasons weren't enough, we also have third-term report cards, which need to be completed this month too. Report cards gives our parents and guardians an opportunity to see how their students are progressing through the curriculum. It takes a great deal of time, especially for our elementary teachers, to assess our students and complete the report cards so that the information shared gives you insight to your child's growth, academic strengths, and areas of difficulty. So by the end of April, our educators are definitely in need of a week to be celebrated. Just making it through April is reason enough. But our educators spend their days, weeks, and months of the entire school year building and implementing creative lesson plans, problem with solving with students in a conflict, modeling ways to manage anxiety, empowering students to just give it one more try, and listening to whatever our students need to share with us. The life of an educator is difficult, exhausting, and draining, as well as exciting and energizing. The job is filled with roller coasters of emotions all in one day, but we come to school each morning because each educator knows that's who we are. And seeing the spark in the student's eye when the concept finally clicks allows us to take another deep breath and keep moving forward. So as I said in the beginning, Teacher Appreciation Week is just around the corner. Thank you in advance for all you will do to show our Huron Valley teachers how much they are appreciated in what we do each day. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next is board correspondence. Secretary Pastana, do we have any board correspondence?
No correspondence tonight, President.
Thank you. Treasurer's report. Treasurer Cotter, any treasurer's report?
No, I don't have a formal treasurer report, but I'm going to ask Mr. Van Gotham to brief us briefly on some other treasurer news.
Okay.
The bonds.
Thank you, Treasurer Cotter.
Bonds.
Very quickly, just wanted to note for the community that tomorrow is actually bond payment day. So we will be paying $20.5 million down on our debt, which includes principal and interest. So as many as 5 or 6 years ago, we had 7 or 8 different series that were outstanding. We're currently down to 4 series that are outstanding for the community. Obviously, taking these debts over 10 years versus 20 and 30 will make us very lean as it comes to coming to other forms of financing and asking the community, potentially in the future for no tax rate interest so that we can continue to improve the district on an annual basis. So just wanted to take the time to thank the community for the support of all of the past bonds that they have passed, but most notably that we're able to make our bond payments on time and that we're reducing our debt on an annual basis. And tomorrow is the day we actually do that. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Thank you, Treasurer Cotter.
Yes.
Next is reports from board committees. As you all know, I believe on an ongoing basis, we have subcommittee meetings that are open to the public. They're published, the agendas are published, and a number of items that are discussed at that time, but no decisions are ever made. The first committee meeting was the executive committee. The committee was met on April 12th, 2023. At 12:15 at the Huron Valley School Administration Building. It was called to order at 1 o'clock. Present were myself along with Member Pastana, Member Dodd, Dr. Salah, and Barb Rothler. The public comments, there were none. We discussed the regular agenda that's before us today. We had a review of the agenda and also discussed and were brought up to speed with an update as it relates to safety and security. Dr. Salah provided a verbal overview of some of the high-level feedback from Raycon that he provided to you tonight, along with some of the next steps and update regarding the Oxbow crosswalk and discussions with the Oakland County Road Commission regarding some lights at the crosswalk and signs put up indicating school hours and speed limits and so on and so forth. He also provided to the committee a strategic planning update as it related to Plant Moran Cresta's contract. He also shared the email that was sent to the board regarding questions that were brought up by fellow board members regarding that particular contract. And on the other agenda item, that was also discussed was the April 28th, 2023 board professional learning opportunity that I discussed earlier today. So with that, our next meeting is scheduled. I do not have the date next month, but this meeting was adjourned at 2 o'clock. Next is the TLT committee.
The Teaching Learning Technology Committee met on April 4th at 3:30 at the Administration Building. Meeting was called to order at 3:36. Present were myself, Ms. Cotter, Mr. Dimmick, Mr. Tavernier, Dr. Salah, Mr. Lindberg, Dr. Nemeth, Mr. Wisnick, Ms. Gilbert, Ms. Cadell, and Maya and Everett from our student leaders. There was no public comment. Regular agenda items. The first was the experience chemistry. Mr. Lindberg and Ms. Gilbert shared the HVS science vision and the chemistry course development timeline and process followed for developing the new course. After a successful pilot at both Milford and Lakeland High School, the recommendation is to move forward with the district-wide adoption for the 23-24 school year. This purchase would include 375 total student textbooks with a 6-year student online licenses, plus an additional 260 6-year student online licenses. I've said the same thing. It also includes teacher editions and online access to the platform for 6 years. It is recommended the purchase of experienced chemistry textbooks, online licenses, and teacher materials in the amount of $84,985 plus a 5% contingency for adjusted enrollment. It was supported by the committee unanimously for this exhibit to appear as new business at tonight's meeting. Next, we had a technology update. Mr. Wisnick shared the technology replacement cycle projects planned for this summer, including teacher laptops and student Chromebooks. The pricing for the equipment on the state device purchasing contract is expected to be available by the end of April, and purchase recommendations will be brought for approval at a future meeting. The student leadership Everett shared that the construction at Lakeland is going smoothly and has not been too noisy or disruptive to the students. And he mentioned the mock car crash. Maya shared that the IA West Tri-Campus Dodgeball Tournament and Winter Olympics were both a huge success. We then discussed a safety security update. Dr. Slog gave us an update regarding his meeting with Oakland County Road Commission regarding the Expo Elementary Crosswalk. They have addressed these challenges with a number of vehicles on school property by installing a new staging area that will provide space for at least an additional 45 vehicles. Nothing on the consent agenda. We discussed gifted and talented. We asked for an update. Dr. Nemeth shared that the plan is to identify students that qualify at the end of this school year for a multi-level program which partners high school students with the elementary students to engage in community or interest-based projects. The goal is to have a program that supports an ongoing relationship or connection between the high school and elementary students over 3 years. Last thing we talked about was the summer extension. Dr. Nemeth shared an update for the program being planned for this summer. Students who qualify to participate have been identified and notifications will be sent out or may have already been sent out. The summer extension program, in addition to our ESY and summer experience, full-day tuition-based camps will be held at Kurtz Elementary. We adjourned at 4:41. Our next meeting is April 18th at 3:30.
Thank you, Denise. Finance and operations.
Sure. I'm going to omit a few things because they are already covered in Denise's report, and Dr. Salah likewise has mentioned a few things. Our meeting, we met last Wednesday on the 15th. Tom Wiseman, Denise Pastana, Lindsay Cotter, Dr. Salah, John Reby, Gina Maruskin, Becky Timberlake, Cody Farber from Clark Construction, Bill Weinrock from TMP, and Chuck Wolford was there from our Max Service Corporation. Just an update for unfinished business tonight. You'll find, and we've reviewed a board policy 6320. Some of the language has been changed on that in cost, so that will be, you'll get that tonight in unfinished business. We've talked about the building utilization engagement with Plant Moran moving forward. Likewise, you're going to hear about the Bogey Lake main improvements. There will be a cost to the district regarding those improvements over on that site. Likewise, we got a great report from Cody Farber from Clark Construction. He indicated our remaining contingency funds that we now have available with our bond. Likewise, we saw a list of punch items that are being completed at some of the elementary schools. And they talked about moving forward with, they're just keying up some doors because we had hardware changes that we made at Milford and Lakeland High School. We also had a communicator report that was shared in detail for Lakeland High School and Milford High School construction progress. And we saw wonderful photos of things that are going on right now. So it was nice to hear that we're kind of ahead of the game and items are coming in on time as expected, and they're moving a little ahead of schedule. That's nice to hear. Other than that, other pieces here have been discussed tonight. Chuck Wolford from Max Service Corporation also came and let us know that the University of Michigan, their electric vehicle program bid went out about the same time ours did, and they got it. So any more response to that? Likewise, LaFontaine Automotive, which was the only one to respond to our fleet management acquisition bid. So we're going to have to change directions for our school bus plans, and we'll continue this discussion. And then there were 5 additional bids are currently out on the street and should be closing in a bit about mid-May. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter. Communications, marketing, and legislation.
Yep.
We had a meeting, the date's off there, on April 5th at the admin office. Present were myself, Mrs. Grismkowski, Mrs. Ryan, Ms. Rothler, Dr. Sala, and Ms. Willis. There was no public comment. We talked about JK orientation, which happened, and enrollment is ongoing. We talked about some changes to the website, and this isn't written for me, but I'm going to say it out loud. On the parent section of our website, the very last selection in the drop-down is WebWise, and it's a great tool that people can look at. It's little short snippet videos to help people navigate our website. Super great, nice addition. Check it out. We also talked about safety and security. We've already discussed this. We'll keep going. We talked about the Share Your Vision program, and letters have gone off to staff and families about the program. We discussed Highland Township, that HVS flyers have been added to the Highland Township welcome bags, and a link to hvs.org has been added to the Highland Township website under the community tab. We talked about the upcoming transportation graphic. We made a few suggestions to the graphic, and now here we have a nice final project or product. We discussed a realtor lunch. We'll be having a realtor lunch on May 2nd. It's a day that the buildings are closed, so we'll be having that in one of our school buildings for local realtors. Posters are going out. And the luncheon will include a state of the district, strategic plan, tour of the building, and packets for realtors. We also discussed the Friday Forum. Communications department's working on revamping a monthly electronic newsletter. We discussed highlighting educational leadership and educational leaders. Also talked about how we're going to communicate the transitions and changes in our newsletter, moving from a Friday Forum to be an electric newsletter for family and staff that comes out on a monthly basis rather than a weekly basis. We talked about volunteer opportunities and community involvement and making a little place on our website for people to go to find out about how to get involved with the district, either through HVS programs or affiliated programs to get involved. We also talked a little bit about the budget and legislative communications. There is a legislative day for Oakland County school board members on May 4th that I will be attending, and I think there's still a little bit of space if any of the other school board members or superintendent would like to attend. There's space. We have to register by April 24th. We adjourned at 4:41 p.m., and our next meeting is on May 1st at 5 p.m., 1 hour before the meeting. The other meeting that I'm going to report about in this section is the government relations meeting for Oakland County Schools. I am our liaison on that committee. We meet monthly on a Wednesday. Maybe it's the first or second Wednesday, I don't know, but we meet monthly and just go over interesting information, important information as it relates to school boards and the legislative environment. We had presentations from Mark Lomere, the equalization officer from the Oakland County Equalization Division, and Philip Boone, the assistant director of the Office of Financial Aid and School Finance from the Michigan Department of Education. Really wonderful presentation about how taxes work and how they determine taxes on our dwellings, and then also how that money is then distributed out to schools. It was very informative and interesting, and also nice to hear from these two professionals, Mr. Lohmeyer and Mr. Boone, who are open and accessible to questions, both from school board members, superintendent, the district, but also from random folks. So they are definitely constituent-focused people. We had a legislative update. Lots of stuff is moving in the Michigan House and Senate, and lots of moving parts there that we're going to keep an eye on. And that was about it. So we have meetings monthly, and I'll keep reporting out when we have those.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for representing our school board on that committee. It's appreciated. Next, consent agenda. We have 3 consent agenda items: approval of minutes, approval of summary of expenditures, and check register. Check register is always out on our website for people to review if they'd like under the transparency model, and an approval of the personnel report, exhibits A1 through A3. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Member Cotter, seconded by?
Support.
By Amy. Could I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Ms. Cotter.
Present.
Ms. Griswoldowski.
No. Yes.
I put you down for yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Mr. Divick.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
I'm a yes, and Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Motion
I'm
passes.
going to go back and under public comments, Lori, do we have any public comments? Not have any on agenda or non-agenda items? Okay. Unfinished business, let me state this, that we have in our agenda, new business and unfinished business. New business is first readings. No action takes place under new business. Gives the Board of Education opportunity to raise questions that are answered during the course of the 2 weeks or 3 weeks between board meetings. And unfinished business is items that have been brought forth to the board and are voted on tonight after an opportunity for us to have further discussion during that period of time when it transitions from new business to unfinished business, and to also ask any questions tonight of administration. So with that, unfinished business, Dr. Slot, Exhibit B, Safety Liaison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bringing back here for the board's consideration this evening, the appointment of a safety liaison to the district, which is required under the revised code, section 380.1241. While there aren't any specific credentials required for the appointment of a safety liaison, I think it's important just for me to emphasize some of the credentials that Ms. Rothler has. She is the recommendation that's being put forth this evening. Ms. Rothler is a trained and certified National Incident Management System individual, meaning she has the NIMS certification. She has assumed the responsibility for coordinating our emergency operating procedures, which we have in every single one of our buildings, as well as at the district office. She does this in coordination with the Michigan State Police. She has also served as the liaison and contact person for our OK to Say hotline. Just, for those of you who do not know this, we probably receive 2 to 3, maybe 5 calls a week, depending, and sometimes it's 11:30 at night when we get some of those calls. Thank you for taking those, Ms. Rothler. And she has established great relationships with each of our police departments, specifically our police chiefs. So my recommendation this evening is the appointment of Ms. Rothler as the safety liaison for the district.
Thank you, Dr. Slack. May I have a motion?
Sure. I'll move that the Board of Education approve the safety liaison as presented.
I'll support.
Yes, okay. Motion made by Member Dodd, supported by Member Stannett. Any questions? Yes.
I just want to echo the credentials and the qualifications and the good work that Mrs. Rothler has been doing in this space already. She's shown great leadership, good ability to build partnerships with our community, police, and all the first responders. So I think this is a great choice.
Any other comments? Seeing none, could I have a roll call?
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Ms. Griswoldowski.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
And Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next, Purchasing Policy 6320, Language Update, Exhibit C. Dr. Slot.
We haven't had any additional questions. Mr. Van Gotham, have you had any additional questions since the last board meeting when you presented this?
No, we have not.
So with no additional questions, Mr. Wiseman, we would ask for the board's approval of the changes to policy as presented.
Okay, could I have a motion?
Sure. I'll move that the Board of Education approve the Purchasing Policy 6320 Language Update as presented.
Do I have a second?
And I'll support that.
Moved by Member Dodd, seconded by Member Cotter. Any questions? One question I have, this is a policy that was adopted by the board a few months ago when we were adopting a variety of policies. This is just a minor change, I believe, that you presented as it relates to informal bidding.
Yeah, so this is basically buyer's best judgment, which is, our leaders within our buildings having the ability to make purchases on behalf of the district and, updating that threshold to currently reflect current pricing levels, if you will. And so this is a very minor tweak to a big purchasing policy.
Okay. And we've been reported by external auditors that we have outstanding internal controls, and those internal controls will still be in place.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. I see no other comments or questions. With that, roll call, please.
Ms. Dodd?
Yes.
Ms. Cotter?
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Grzymkowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Building utilization engagement, Exhibit D, Dr. Slav.
Thank you, Mr. Wiseman. Just a couple comments on this. First of all, I want to thank the board. We had a number of questions related to this engagement. And on April 4th, well, I should say prior to April 4th, Mr. Van Gotham did an excellent job in his due diligence in communicating with Plant Moran Cressa in order to get specific responses to the questions that were posed. On April 4th, the communication was sent to the board. There was one specific change that was made that was not just a question based on that feedback from the board. So I just want to touch on that. Page 9, 2.9 specifically deals with the reciprocity of not hiring consultants to work directly for Huron Valley Schools within 1 year of that contract, and then vice versa. Plant Moran Cressa cannot hire our employees for at least a year after we terminate this engagement. So that was one of the points of feedback that was mentioned by the board. I just would reflect that Mr. Van Gotham made that change. I have not had any additional questions. Mr. Van Gotham, have you had any further questions from board after that April 4th communication?
No, I have not.
Okay. We would ask that the board approve the Plant Moran Cressa engagement.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Member Pastana. Do I have a second?
I'll support.
Who was that? Amy? Amy supported. Any other comments or questions? I just want to make a comment. I do really, truly appreciate and respect the questions that were raised, the process that we follow as it relates to this, the opportunity for us as a governing body to ask those questions. And I appreciate the comments and the questions being answered in a very transparent and full model and manner. And I think that's a process that we follow, and I think it works very well. But it only works well when our board participates in asking those questions, and it was certainly demonstrated over these last 2 weeks. So I appreciate that and respect that. With that being said, I think we had a motion, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Could I have a roll call then?
I am a yes. Ms. Grzymkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Cotter?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Dodd?
Yes.
Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
And Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next, Exhibit E, D, Bogey Lake Water Main Improvements. Dr. Slav?
No further questions on this one either. Mr. Van Gotham, do you have anything more on this?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
We would ask for approval this evening of, this is the Bogey Lake Campus Water Project that was presented at the last board meeting. This goes hand in glove with the White Lake Water Project that we have been engaged in as a district with White Lake Township.
Do I have a motion?
So I move that our board approve the Bogey Lake water main improvements as presented.
Seconded.
Second by Member Dimick. Motion made by Member Cotter, seconded by Member Dimick. Any comments or questions? Yes.
I'm
Member
thrilled that we are doing this. Getting good, fresh, clean water to the Bogey Lake campus has been something this board is working on since before I came on the board. And so we are so close, we can almost taste the really good water.
We don't want to taste it.
Once the good stuff's in, then
okay.
I'm dumping
All right.
this bottle and bringing a cup.
Okay.
It's exciting. So it's been lots of hard work and lots of collaboration with both community partners. Thankfully for our voters that we passed the bond, so we were able to do our final leg to make sure that all the buildings, not just one, but it covers those three buildings there. This is really important, and I'm happy to see it finally getting close to the finish line.
Thank you very much for your comments, and absolutely, this wouldn't have been possible without the support of our community. And it was something that we've been talking about for many, many years. And when we talk about quality of life for our students, this is certainly important. And I just want to say how much I appreciate that. Living and traveling Bogey Lake, we've seen a lot of work over the last several months along Bogey Lake. Just very quickly, Jeffrey, what does this do now? We've got the water along Bogey Lake. What does this allow us to do?
Yeah, and so the community, the Bogey Lake water main was actually taken down to the southeast portion of our campus. What we're doing now is actually connecting to the water main at a couple different points so that we have a nice system that flows through our campus and allows us to tap into that water main at two different spots really and have a nice interconnecting system that will allow us to have water on that campus. And then obviously as a future plan, the township, because it is their water line, will have the ability to provide that to other taxpayers and other community properties throughout the area, which is wonderful. So it's been nice to partner with them. They've been very good to us as far as the amount that we're paying for our responsibility versus the township. They actually took more on than they originally promised, which is wonderful. And so I have personally been very pleased. This is something that I started working on going about 5.5 years now. So I'm glad that, just like Ms. Dodd mentioned, to really see this coming to fruition. It's been a lot of back and forth and up and down, but really happy that we're as close as we are to completing this project. So this is really the final stage to update our water main, which hasn't been replaced since 1970. And so that's due for an upgrade, and this is what will be supported as a result of the community approving that water main.
So when you say the Lakeland campus, this not only positively affects Lakeland High School, but also White Lake Middle School and Lakewood Elementary School.
And really the White Lake community in general. I mean, it's really something that's a nice positive for, even our campus and beyond.
And we're going to be out of the water business then.
Yes, we're going to retire from the water business at that particular site. Yes.
I think that's good to hear. Thank you very much. Could I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
Ms. Grisomkowski.
Enthusiastically, yes.
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
And Mr. Wiseman.
Absolutely. Yes.
Motion approved.
Next is sale of 2023 school building and site bonds, Series 2. This is under unfinished business because we've had a lot of discussion under new business and unfinished business as it relates to the sale of the remaining bonds that were approved by our community a few years back. So, and this will allow us to complete many of the projects that we have on tap. So I probably took some of your thunder away.
No, that's okay.
But,
I'm actually, I know Mr. Van Giltham is excited to present this one. We had I was on the call, and these are the things that Jeffrey gets excited about. So we had a really good outcome. Jeffrey, I'm going to invite you to speak to this.
Jeffrey, I don't want you to be alone on this. I was part of that phone call, and I too was excited
to see it.
Obviously, that's Dr. Salah's problem, not ours.
I mean, see my daughters play games, things like that. Yeah, those are, talking about a bond sale is also right up there and things that excite. So real briefly, we put our bond out for a private placement sale, which basically allows investment companies, groups, houses to bid on our work. And so we are pleased that we had 16 different entities bid on our bond for this particular sale. And so what they're bidding on is a true interest cost, the true interest cost of what we as a district pay for basically the ability to go out and borrow this money and pay it back through a bond program. And so with the 16 programs, it ranged from 2.66 at the high end of a true interest cost all the way down to 2.38. Again, 16 bidders. Our professional service firm who we worked with had never seen that many bids in any one private placement sale, and they've been in business for 50 years. And so that was something to be really proud of. I'm just proud of the district because over the last couple of years, we've improved on our S&P rankings. We're moving in the right direction financially. We've strategically placed ourselves with these 10-year notes to be able to continue to improve the district, all while maintaining a fiscally responsible budget and approach to how we're handling things in the district. So I think just as a testament to the group and the board and the district in general for making sound decisions, even through a pandemic, has allowed us to come out of this with, again, 16 people who wanted to do business with us as far as acquiring our bonds to have for their investment portfolio that then they're able to sell on to their own people who are buying through their program. So yeah, just happy that we were able to have such good success. And it was exciting to get that phone call because there was a lot of people who were really enthusiastic about, being able to represent Huron Valley even as a service provider and see all those people who are really excited about doing work with us.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion?
Sure. I'll move that the Board of Education approve the ratification resolution as presented.
I'll support.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? Congratulations. I've been in this business a long time, and I agree with our consultants. I've never seen that type of activity. And considering the economics and where the market is, I think it's really indicative of the position that we are financially within Huron Valley and the stewardship that you, Jeffrey, along with your team, provides in the district. So congratulations. It is exciting news. And I think it's also important to note that this is all done without raising the tax rate of our community. And we're staying within our means while at the same time improving our facilities, which then improves the opportunities for our children. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I know that you were excited too. So
I was riveted.
With that, could I have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Miss Dodd,
Yes.
Miss Grzymkowski,
Yes.
Miss Ryan,
Yes.
Miss Cotter,
Yes.
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Thank you. New business. Dr. Slav, first Exhibit G, Chemistry Resource.
Thank you, and thank you for support of everything under unfinished business. So I'm going to invite Mr. Lindberg to the microphone, and as he and his team, Ms. Gilbert, are coming to the microphone, I wanted to share a couple thoughts with the board and our listening audience regarding resource and curriculum adoption. Huron Valley Schools is a school within the state of Michigan. We are bound to follow the Michigan state standards. That is what we teach. And because we have a few new board members, I think it's important for me to articulate for our listening audience some of the information I've shared with our board so that everyone knows with clarity the process that we follow when making recommendations to our Board of Education as it relates to resources and curriculum adoption. So I sent an email to the board just recently on April 11th, and there are 9 key steps that I just want to touch on. First and foremost, as part of this process, we bring several content experts into the central office, and those content experts are teachers that teach the content that we're asking them to review as it relates to particular potential resources from numerous companies. Typically, we identify between 1 and 3 resources from different companies that are piloted from anywhere between 2 to 3 months all the way to 12 months, depending upon the content. Oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes we'll administer formative and combative benchmark assessments to determine whether or not students are mastering that content knowledge in order to determine whether or not it's aligning well with the Michigan state standards. Then we bring those content experts, our teachers, back to the table to weigh and measure the benefits, the pros and the cons of the resources that they're looking at. And the reason why this is important, because a lot of times when our teachers are piloting and looking at these materials, they're actually written for our national audience because a lot of standards have some commonalities across different states. So our teachers are taking the time to actually identify Michigan standards with different sections and units that exist within the resource, because they don't necessarily use every unit within the resource, okay? And so I think that's just important because we have to bring those folks back together and talk about, well, this one did a nice job aligning with X standard, but we don't feel like it hit the mark on Y standard. So that conversation takes place amongst our teachers and the TLT department. Then recommendations are oftentimes brought to the board at a committee level. So you heard Ms. Pistana during her reading of the TLT minutes mention that the chemistry presentation you're going to hear this evening was presented to the board subcommittee, and that's done so that the district has an idea of what questions the board might be formulating. I mean, this is the first time that these board members have heard it. So in fairness to them, they won't know all the questions to ask at that point. And then the materials are brought to an initial board meeting. That's what we're doing tonight. So everyone knows this is the first reading of the chemistry materials that are being presented. And then we make those materials available not only to the board, but they're also available to the community. If anybody wants to view any of these materials that we're recommending, they just contact our offices and we'll make arrangements for anybody who wants to take a look at these materials so that they can do so. Once the materials have been made available, we ask for any questions that the board might have. And so what I typically ask, from the board, just so we have an opportunity for our TLT department to be able to respond to any questions, is if you can get those questions to us by that Tuesday or Wednesday before the next board meeting so that they can respond to any specific questions that you might have regarding alignment, units that might be taught, when they might be taught, where they might be taught. And that gives people like Marty and Connie an opportunity to connect with some of our teachers. I know we have some teachers that are here in the audience that piloted some of those materials, so they have a vested interest in this as well. And then we will share that information back to the entire board. So if Ms. Dott has 2 questions and Ms. Pistana has a question and Mr. Dimick has a question, we'll take all those questions. We'll get the responses from our experts in the field, and then we'll share that information with the entire board. So everyone has the privilege of knowing what questions were asked and what the responses were. And then once all of that has taken place, we'll bring it back to the board for a final reading. And so for our listening audience out there, I want you to hear that because this is a really in-depth process that involves a number of our teachers that are teaching this content every single day, that have experience with the content standards, but there's also opportunity for our board who is elected and for our community to review those materials and ask questions as well. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Lindberg, and he will introduce members of the team and our teachers that are here just to walk through that process in more detail.
I don't know. Actually, you did such a nice job summing it up. I don't know if I'm needed anymore. So thanks, everyone. On behalf of Teaching, Learning, and Technology, I'm excited to be here tonight to give you a chemistry update. Like Board Member Pistana shared earlier, we had the chance to meet with the board TLT subcommittee earlier this month and share some of this information, but it's a great opportunity for us to get in front of the entire board, share that information. So to introduce myself, my name is Martin Lindberg, and I'm the Director of Curriculum Development for Huron Valley Schools. And with me tonight is Connie Gilbert. Connie is one of our teacher leaders who specializes in the science area, and obviously we're doing chemistry. And we also have a couple teachers in our crowd tonight who were part of the pilot and who wanted to come, and we're going to offer to let them speak as well to the materials. But first, from Milford High School, Jennifer Hiddle, and from Lakeland High School, Shauna James. Okay, so a little bit about our chemistry update. We wanted to start first of all with our HVS vision for science and that global thinking where we work with whenever we're sitting down with teachers, whether it's JK2, whether it's middle school, whether it's high school. We want this vision always in front of them, always in our thoughts, and we want to always refer back to that. And we highlighted some of the area or some of the words in blue. We don't want to read the whole thing to you, but we just wanted to kind of highlight having students actively involved, having them engaged in doing as a scientist would. Those are big parts of what our work is, having meaningful learning in science and engineering. And then bringing out any student thinking, giving them multiple opportunities to make sense of whatever curriculum we've put in front of them. And so that is the vision that is Teaching and Learning. We sat down and we worked with our HVS teachers and we developed that, and that's something we've built off throughout this process. So a little timeline of where we've been with chemistry and actually science in general. In the last part of the last decade, from 2015 to 2019, we made the transition like all school districts did to the Michigan Science Standards. And so we spent a lot of time teaching and learning, working with our teachers throughout the district, developing our new high school courses, physics in 9th grade, chemistry in 10th grade, biology in 11th grade, making those changes to our course sequence, and then also revamping the work that we do in those classes. For chemistry, the first full year of implementation was the 2019-20 school year. And if you remember, that was also the year that we shut down in March due to COVID. So the following years were a little, even though we were still moving forward, we were dealing with a lot of the other issues that were happening due to COVID and the repercussions from that. So it wasn't until late last year we really got full on board again and started moving forward with identifying resources that we wanted to use, a grounding resource for our district. And then this year having that opportunity to pilot and gain those experiences and provide that feedback to a point now we're excited to recommend a resource to the board tonight. So why a resource? Our overall goal, we want to support a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And so when we think about different ways that we're supporting that guaranteed and viable curriculum, one is alignment. We want to make sure that all our teachers are teaching the standards that are provided to us from the state of Michigan. We want to make sure we're giving a common experience for students in Huron Valley. And so having that common resource allows those students to have that experience, but also allows teachers to work with each other. I know we talk a lot about professional learning communities where teachers get together and spend time as a chemistry group. This is an example of where they could be, because they have a common resource, that grounding resource, that they can utilize that time to support each other, along with the cohort times that our next one is on May 2nd. We get together in science groups and then can break down into biology groups and chemistry groups and so on. We also want to make sure that new teachers coming into the district have that support as well. And so they're gaining that experience from others. And then also we want to make sure our students and parents at home have those resources available for our district, because again, we're a one-on-one school district. And so having that ability for students and their parents to access these resources at home is invaluable for the learning process. Okay, so this I'm going to turn over because Connie was a lot more involved in the actual resource in developing the resource and the pilot. So I want to give her the opportunity to talk a little bit more about experience chemistry.
All right, so yes, I'd just like to share a big picture overview of what the Experience Chemistry program has to offer. And when we're looking to adopt a resource for district-wide, we're really looking for a resource that supports teaching our state standards that we have put in that course. We're looking for a resource that helps support our best practices that we want to implement in the classroom, and also assessment methods. So it's not just one-dimensional as far as the content. And so the Experience Chemistry program as a whole does offer a few different things to help support those areas. The first is that it has a student textbook. And you may be thinking like, a traditional chemistry textbook that just has content. And this does have some key content in it, but it also has woven in the student edition different ways, science and engineering practices or cross-cutting concepts, which are part of our standards, woven in there for students to interact with the content. But that student textbook is actually only a portion of what the whole program has to offer. As you can see, the student textbook up there is one bullet, but then look at that teacher edition and digital platform and all of the sub-bullets that are underneath there. This is what really intrigued our teachers about wanting to move forward with this resource. It provides so many additional labs, activities, background knowledge on the content, different investigations, supports for both our struggling students, as well as students who maybe need more, so enrichment activities. And all of this helps support the student in a digital platform way as well. So anything that the teacher wants to use to help support the learning, they can push out through that digital platform into the Google Classroom. So just a big picture overview of how a unit is organized. In the Experience Chemistry resource, the units are thought of as storylines. And in a storyline, what would be at the beginning is some type of phenomena that's going to make the students wonder and want to find out more about and explore. And the way this resource supports that is by having the students go through a series of investigations. In this case, the example is 3 different ones, where they dive into some specific chemistry content through a variety of experiences. And you can see those experiences are listed. You could think of those as lessons that may take anywhere from 1 to 3 days. And it's a variety of the type of lesson. It will follow the 5E instructional model, which is just a variety of terms that begin with E, hence called the 5E model, of either engaging students, having students explore something, explain something, elaborate, or evaluate. And so to dive in a little bit deeper into maybe what one of those investigations or experiences may look like, I took just a screenshot of the teacher edition. Now, this is kind of hard to read, maybe from where you're sitting, but what it's showing is in those columns there, those are those experiences that take 1 to 2 days, potentially. And you can see all the things that are listed that the teachers have to choose from to help students build meaning on a certain content piece. And so on the side there, I've put on stars, that all those little bullets that are starred, as just in those 2 experiences, you can see teachers have a variety of inquiry labs they could choose from. One thing that's very neat about this resource is those labs are differentiated, meaning there's 4 different versions of each lab. So depending on the types of students or the makeup of your classroom, you may want to use a very supported and scripted lab if that's what your students need. Or if you're teaching some students that are really getting the concepts, they could have more of an open-ended inquiry lab. And what's so great is that the teachers have those options to choose from. Other things here, just allowing students to, again, engage in science as scientists would, as Marty mentioned, as part of our vision, is there's tons of data sheets available for them to look at as scientists would. There are additional readings, so the things you see in the textbook might not be the only pieces that the students have to read about the content. There's actually discussion rubrics to help facilitate good science discourse in the classroom, as well as maybe some animations or simulations that students could engage with. And included, of course, are some assessment options. So to kind of go into how we got to where we are today, this shows the timeline that we have followed. As Marty mentioned, last spring, a lot of the chemistry teachers really expressed interest in kind of getting back to the good work that we're used to doing, the teaching and learning, as opposed to some of the other things that we were dealing with the past few years. And so at their kind of recommendation, we started trying to finish up our course. And again, once we had our standards and curriculum set, we were like, we need a grounding resource to support all the things that Martin had mentioned before. So in the spring, we had representation from both Milford and high school teachers come, and we started previewing a few different resources. A few teachers volunteered to take those samples back to their classrooms and just kind of do mini sample lessons and bring feedback back. The feedback was that they would like to participate in an official pilot of Experience Chemistry that following year. So we took that feedback, contacted some reps, and set up some training to help support teachers in that pilot. At At the time, we offered the pilot open to all chemistry teachers. And actually, at that time, we had 2 Milford teachers and only 1 Lakeland teacher volunteer to be part of the pilot. But then we hired a brand new teacher at Lakeland who jumped right on board after that when she heard about it. She's here today. Those teachers were able to participate in training sessions and given collaboration time to really understand the resource before piloting. They also had a time to learn about the rubrics that we were going to utilize to review the resource against, and they came up with a timeline for piloting. They piloted all during term 2, and we had some touch points from TLT to hear how it was going. And right away, the casual feedback was positive. And so we continued on with piloting, and in the winter of this year, I think it was in January, we brought those teachers back for in-service and did a formal feedback scoring against our rubrics. I'll go more into that in the next slide, but again, the feedback was positive. So we said, let's continue to pilot this throughout the year so we can figure out what lessons are best, what's our scope and sequence, how are we going to align this to our curriculum. And we brought an update to the chemistry cohort as a whole. So when we were talking about rubrics and the teachers reviewing them against them, these are the 4 different evaluation tools we utilized to review the resource. The first listed on there, the EQUIP rubric, that's a nationally recognized rubric that helps it helps teachers and educators review resources against 3 areas of where we really are hoping science education will go. So that would be in the area of standards, in that 3-dimensional learning of knowing the content, but the engagement with the content as well, with the science and engineering practices, cross-cutting concepts. It also helps teachers review what instructional supports are in there, as well as student progress monitoring. The teachers utilize that nationally recognized rubric, as well as then some district created indicators that the teachers elevated that they thought were the most important things to look for. So from a teacher lens, they may say, yeah, I really need phenomena ideas in my classroom. Or I need to be able to log into a platform that's easy to utilize, and I'm not all confused when I just need to go grab some good lessons. And so we were able to get teacher feedback on that and said, let's look for these things. All of these being, of course, grounded in our HVS vision for science education, and just making sure that that resource does help us get there. So when the teachers came back in January for the feedback, and we scored in a lot of subcategories in these areas, but just in general, the teachers found either extensive or adequate evidence in all of the areas. So we said, no resource is going to be perfect. No resource may be exactly aligned to every standard that we have in our course, or maybe an area might be weak, but that doesn't mean we can't find other ways to support that. But in general, did we feel like it had enough evidence to help us get where we're trying to go with our science education? And again, in all the areas, they felt like there was extensive to adequate evidence. So the recommendation was, let's move forward with this as our grounding resource.
So before we finalize the recommending of the purchase, I did want to acknowledge both Jennifer and Shauna and invite them up. Jennifer, maybe we'll start with you as the seasoned HVS person. You've been here long enough, I can say seasoned, right?
I'm here.
Yeah, there you go. That's seasoned. Why don't you share a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So good evening. Again, my name is Jennifer Hiddle, and I teach in the far corner of the building. If you've ever visited the science classrooms back there. This is my 10th year here, and I've been teaching, I sit in the science department here that entire time. First of all, I wanted to thank TLT for allowing us to really sit down as chemistry teachers and content experts and look for a resource that was going to be helpful to our students' learning, but also to us as educators to make sure we're hitting all aspects of the Michigan standards. They are kind of complex. We had spent a lot of time in the development of the course, doing a deep dive into each of those standards and really understanding what's in there. Because it's not just the content, Like Connie Gilbert was saying, there are these cross-cutting concepts, science and engineering practices that help to teach students how to think like a scientist, right? And be a good critical thinker and be stronger in like evaluating data and graphs and things like that. Hitting those other things outside of the content, like science and engineering practices and cross-cutting concepts, that can be kind of challenging to weave into your content area. It's complex. And when we were looking at the different resources, we wanted one where that was kind of built in so that every student was experiencing that and it was happening throughout all of our classrooms. And out of the initial look over all the resources, this one really stuck out, the experience chemistry. And we were super excited. It was like a year ago, right? When we first started trying it, I was very excited to bring it into the classroom. And like I could see the kids were excited to try something new too. They like participating in the experiment kind of and seeing how things work. And we spent a lot of time asking them for their input as well. So I purposely was asking my students, hey, how does this work for you? Do you like these real life phenomena that are, built into this subject area? Does it pique your interest? And even they were giving very useful and positive feedback. It was a little bit of a shift. I think some of the classrooms in general have kind of moved away from having a standard textbook to work with. But I've liked being able to bring in like content area reading. And I think that that's a very helpful skill to get them doing that in chemistry still. So I've loved being able to do that. The online resources that are available to teachers to either print out or share through our platform on Google Classroom are wonderful. I used one today in my classroom where they're analyzing data and they were looking at intermolecular forces and the effects of salinity and like really doing a deep dive, and they were having really good conversations and asking good questions. And that's about all I can ask for from my students. That's really what I want to see. So I am fully behind it. I've been excited as I've worked through it this entire year and kind of taken that resource and brought it into my classroom with the students. And I'm, like I say, full support. And of course, if you ever want to see something I've done in my classroom, I'm always happy to share it with you all. I think that's it for now. So thank you.
And then Shauna, did you want to join us over here? And we have from the seasoned veteran to first year in Huron Valley Schools and in your experiences with the pilot.
Good evening. I'm Shauna James. I'm a teacher at Lakeland High School, a science teacher. I teach chemistry and biology. This is my first year at Huron Valley, but I live in the area. My kids went to Huron Valley, but I have spent part of my teaching career in Waterford and partly in a private school in West Bloomfield. So I'm very happy to be in Huron Valley, and it was a great opportunity for me to be part of this pilot. I think since 2015, since we were pushing to bring in the next generation science standards and creating the Michigan standards, it's a hugely complex shift. It's a big paradigm shift in science teaching, but it's one that I feel is important that we eventually fulfill that vision of NGSS. But I felt also a bit at a loss as to how to do it. And I think having a resource like this one is a great framework within which to work and use all the science practices, science and engineering practices, and fully integrate the content with cross-cutting concepts and really get that sort of three-dimensional model off the ground, which I've up until now, I feel there's been so many different approaches that I have never had one sort of cohesive resource, and I think this one is definitely one that will bring everybody together. So that's my 2 cents. So. Thank you.
And I will just say quickly that I think teaching and learning does a really nice job working with our teachers and really being committed to that collaboration between the teachers. And sometimes it's not an easy thing. Sometimes you want to move forward on something. You're dealing with lots of personalities when you have 3 high schools, and there is a real commitment from teaching and learning, and I think that shows. And credit to Connie Gilbert, who worked really hard on working with teachers throughout this process, and a thank you to the teachers as well for being open-minded and working and dedicating their time and experiences for everything. So with that, we come before you today to recommend the purchase of the Experience Chemistry, and a little bit about what we're recommending. We're recommending class sets of hard copy textbooks I mentioned earlier, and that's for all 3 high schools, Milford, Lakeland, and Harbor. I mentioned earlier being a 1-to-1 school district. What we're finding is that students don't want to bring home the thick textbooks, but they have access to it through the computer, and so having that ability to still access the books at home is really powerful. And so we would have class sets, and we have enough books so that if there was an IEP or a 504 and that required a student to have a hard copy book we would have that available for those students. Online access for each student, that's a 6-year license that we purchase. And again, like Connie mentioned earlier, not only do you have access to the student books, but you have simulations, you have videos, you have additional readings that the teacher can assign at home. And then finally, the teacher editions and online access to the teacher platform, which was a big component, and one of the real selling points that we heard from teachers was the detail in those and the opportunity to really extend lessons. So pending board approval, just for our timeline for our next steps here, we would be working with teachers. We have a May 2nd Professional Learning Day that we would start our process with providing support for the Experience Chemistry with the teachers for heading into next year. And then we will continue that alignment work throughout the summer, working with teachers going into next year and working with them throughout the PL days. All right, thank you.
Great, thank you, Martin. As I mentioned before, this is under basically our first reading. This gives us an opportunity to ask questions over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, we have the experts in front of us tonight. If there's some things that were brought forth by our teachers and Connie and Martin, this would be a very appropriate time to ask those questions. But we'll also have the next 2 weeks to go through this even further as it relates to the presentation and any questions that might come up. So with that, are there any comments or questions that people might have right now? Denise?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. Thanks for your expertise, your dedication, all of you. I know when you bring it to a non-educational person, you guys really break it down. You really make it easy to understand what your process is. So I'm really thankful for that. And I'm just going to say, as a science major, when I looked at those books, I thought they were incredible. I was like, why didn't I have this when I was in school for chemistry? It was just, the illustrations were clear. It was really nice. And then when I heard such positive feedback on the pilots, I mean, it looks like a great resource. So really, thank you for all your hard work.
Other comments? Yes, Amy?
Was actually pointed at Laura, but that's okay. I have so many questions, and not in a bad way. I love science, so this is really exciting to me. Just a couple of things. I'm assuming that we have books in, or maybe the online book you can have in a different language. And so I'm just going to assume that, correct? And then the other thing that I'm curious about is, because I love science so much. Science is very hands-on, and for those tactile learners, do we have the resources surrounding this curriculum and these books and this licenses to support your experiments, your hands-on things. Do you have all the resources that you need for that?
I would say part of our curriculum with chemistry is a series of performance tasks, which are lab-based experiences that all students in the district have, and we use it as a source of evaluating their understanding. So there are definitely, we have something that all kids get to experience. We make sure that if we need materials that we're able to place them on our annual purchase list for replacements and things like that. I think the district also really helped us out a lot when we first started the new curriculum by making sure every classroom had those scales and other like non-consumables available to everyone. So there was a big push for that. And I can say I feel pretty confident that we have the resources that we need for our experiments.
One last question. I'm super sorry. You all had time to take these resources and to rework how you teach. Do you think this is, I know this doesn't probably impact more than maybe 15 teachers, maybe 10 to 15 teachers. How quickly do you think they can take this resource and incorporate it into their classroom?
The teachers may be able to answer this a little better, just given their experiences. But I think with usually what happens when we adopt a resource is some initial big picture overview training to kind of get the teachers onboarded. And then after that, because we have such a great professional learning schedule where we are afforded the opportunity to meet as a cohort. So all chemistry teachers will meet together a few times a year. And then our professional learning communities, our PLC models that meet often throughout the month. This allows them to get that extra maybe training or additional collaboration from the pilot teachers. A lot of times we do rely heavily on our pilot teachers to help kind of onboard and support other teachers. But as far as this resource in particular, I think they'd be able to answer how easy it was to onboard this.
I was gonna say, we did have to sit down for a little while at the beginning and do kind of an alignment check. So we actually already took the time to sit down and look at our standards and our units, go through the experience chemistry resource, and identify which specific experiences aligned with what we're trying to teach. So we have that kind of tool ready for everybody that's teaching the chemistry classes, not just the pilot teachers. And I found just because of how user-friendly things were on the teacher end, both in like the teacher guide and the online resources, that I was actually able to jump into it really fast. The way that the teacher guide is built was just very intuitive. It was probably one of the easiest ones that I've looked through before. I was like, oh, I love the way this is organized. And it made it very obvious where to look for different resources. So it wasn't too hard to kind of bring that into what we're already doing in our classrooms. And I would second what Connie said about having the PLC times and the cohort times where we can sit down with those who haven't piloted yet at this point and really show them some of the things that we tried and how we can bring that to our students.
Yes, Member Dodd.
Sure. I was especially interested to hear about the EL and special ed supports and the variations for teachers based on how the dynamics in the classroom. I'd love to hear from either of you who implemented this on how you utilize those resources, because I think it's fantastic that they exist.
So I don't have many EL students, but I do have a few. And there is the option to have the lessons or the assignment read in Spanish, which I had one girl who that was transformational for her to be able to have it read in Spanish. The others use it perhaps as a support, but didn't need to have it all the time. So that, and then also being able to have the sort of differentiated levels for the labs and some assignments too is also a great option. It cuts down on work that we would have to do to try to differentiate those labs and assignments. And so, yeah, I've definitely used that.
Yes, Member Ryan?
All right. Do you have the curriculum you could share with us so that when we're looking at the book, we can see kind of what you're pulling from the book?
Yes, we can do that.
That would be great. And then my son actually had Miss Hiddle, and he loved your class, so that says something about this program, because it was nice to see you here that was one of the classes that it was piloted in.
Member Cotter?
So I'm great with the curriculum and the selection. To the teachers who are here tonight, thank you so much. You know, kind of like you're the ones in the trenches, and we're way up here. So hearing that from you, how you've worked through it, it's been very encouraging. You'll have my support on this purchase. Speaking of purchase, Marty, you just said on May 2nd, you're intending on working with the cohort for chemistry, correct?
If we were to, if it sounds like we're moving forward, even if it wasn't purchased yet, we could share updates with them and work with them.
So when would this come back for approval?
At our next board meeting.
May 1st.
Yeah, May 1st, but certainly the TLT department is ready to make adjustments if they need to, if it were not approved for any reason.
Okay. We'll be good to go. Thank you.
Yes, Member Dimick.
As you guys know, I spent a little bit of time with the teacher's edition and the student edition textbook. The only thing I was unable to do was the online version. I don't know if that's something that I could, I'm sure it is. So I was planning to take you guys up on that, maybe to view an online version just to see how it all interconnects. But, and the other thing I would like to point out is questions I had about the book. One of them specifically was on the teaching of climate change, which is a pretty big section of the book. And I learned that one of our NGSS standards ensures that that is being taught, in fact. So while there may be some things that I may not 100% agree with, as long as it's aligned with the state guidelines, it doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room anyway, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I plan to dig a little deeper, but I'm very pleased that you teachers are here and that you guys spoke so highly of it. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add in that although there are climate standards in the Michigan standards, we do not teach the climate standards in chemistry.
Right. I just wanted to tell you, basically more. I was more or less speaking for our listening audience. Just sometimes they don't understand. Maybe they're not privy to the behind the scenes things that we're doing. So I was just wanting people to be aware that I am, we are going there. We're looking through the text. We're doing our due diligence. And
yep. And that gets also back to what Dr. Salah said earlier about that national, these book companies are, and the resource companies are national resources. So different states have different expectations. And so they're trying to obviously cover all their bases to sell to as many states as possible.
Any other questions, comments? I have a few. First of all, thank you very much for being here and spending the time, not only tonight, but as Dr. Salah has mentioned, and you have mentioned, the extensive, exhaustive examination of our chemistry curriculum and how it applies and what's in the best interest of our students, because we're all about student achievement. I, too, had an opportunity today to spend some time as it related to the textbook itself. That was somewhat risk-taking, being a person that's identified as a CPA, not a scientist, or numbers as opposed to that. But one of the comments, in fact, I have a couple pages of it, I can't think of a resource better named than Experience Chemistry, because I go back to the days of chemistry, and you talk about the 5 E's: engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. I go to the 3 R's, which are rigor, relevance, and relationship. And this textbook as a resource certainly is rigorous, and it certainly is relevant, because I think that's one of the things that have been lacking going back many years, and actually going back when my children were in high school, is that relevancy piece. And I think this textbook provides that, the opportunities for investigation, the investigation models, the storylines within each of the textbooks was amazing. And then the investigative pieces that are brought forth. And what was really great about this was the collaboration that is embedded in this, because really all of science is not only fact, but it's opinion. And when we talk about collaboration, it gives students the opportunity to sit down and talk about okay, these are the facts, this is where we're at, but there are a variety of opinions as it relates to implementing what we know. And it's not just one size fits all. There, obviously there's science, but there's economics that are involved. There's this that's involved, and so on and so forth. So I certainly thought that was extraordinarily important. As I said, it was a great framework. I loved your comment as it relates to think like a scientist, critical thinking, challenging findings. Those are all things that are embedded not only in this curriculum, but I trust that's embedded in all of our curriculum that we provide to our students. So I really appreciate that. And I think that once again, you reinforce what I've heard over and over and over again, the significant value of time for our educators to sit down and collaborate and discuss and work towards one goal, and that's what's in the best interest of our students. And the work that all of you have done, our leadership, our teachers, everyone that's involved as it relates to PLC time is extraordinarily important, because without that PLC time, a lot of these things wouldn't be possible. So I appreciate and respect the work that you're doing. Thank you for myself, Martin, to provide me the opportunity to sit down today and spend some time with that experience chemistry book. Maybe if I spent a little bit more time with that book when I was younger, maybe I've been a chemist as opposed to a CPA. But I appreciate your time. And I also appreciate your openness as it relates to providing this resource to all of us, because we aren't experts, but we also have a responsibility as board members to represent the community and to ask questions, because this is so important as we move forward. So thank you once again. Yes, Jacob?
One more thing to add was kind of what Tom hit on, was just the relevance of it. I actually took a couple pictures of some of the labs to do with my son just because they were cool. So definitely did have some content that I found very wonderful as well.
Any other? Dr. Talai, any more comments?
I just want to thank the team. And I'm going to thank both of our teachers for being here this evening, taking time away from your personal lives. Your insight was invaluable. Marty and John, you guys are just remarkable leaders, and we really appreciate you. And Connie, I mean, no words. You're just remarkable. And I just want to thank our board also. It's just a great example of what good governance looks like, good questions. We appreciate the questions as an administrative team, and I know our TLT department is eager and willing to answer any follow-up questions you might have. And if you can share those questions with us whenever you have them, we'll be sure to get the information to you. We want you to be prepared and feel like you've had an opportunity to ask any and all questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda under new business is Chromebooks, Exhibit H.
I'm going to ask Mr. DeVerne to speak to this one.
So earlier this evening, the board took action on the Series 2 of the bond. And so this request for Chromebooks is actually from our first series of the bond. But while Jeffrey gets excited about selling bonds, I can get excited about having those resources available to purchase equipment for our students to use.
So you like spending?
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So as part of the bond program, we have been able to provide one-to-one Chromebook for every student in Huron Valley schools. And that really has been, as we came out of the pandemic, obviously we quickly adjusted to make sure that we had those resources available for all students. But we've put in place with the bond program a refresh cycle that allows new devices to be purchased every year. We actually give those devices to 8th graders, and they keep those devices through their high school career, and then return those when they graduate. And then those Chromebooks actually continue to be used in our elementary buildings, and our 6th and 7th graders actually get some of those used devices, learn how to use them, and so forth. So the exhibit before you tonight is for the replacement of 1,400 Chromebooks. In addition, we are asking to purchase some additional carts, particularly in some of our special education classrooms. We'd like to have those resources available for students as well. So we shared this at the TLT committee, and Member Pastana shared in the minutes from our TLT committee. We didn't have the exact pricing at our last meeting, but that was released late last week. So we do have the pricing from the State of Michigan Device Purchasing Bid, which is a purchase program that's available every summer for the state of Michigan. So we are recommending to purchase off that REMC program. The Chromebooks themselves are $219.96 plus a licensing fee of $29.62. And then we anticipate the carts to be no more than $1,200. So it is, this again is a bond purchase. So we are, we'll be asking for approval of that purchase at our next board meeting on May 1st, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? We're a one-on-one school district, so this is more of a replacement and then an expansion.
Yeah, replacement again for our 8th graders, and they'll be receiving next year's 8th graders will be receiving new devices, and then we are looking at additional Chromebooks in our resource classrooms at the secondary level. So that's where the 5 additional carts and some Chromebooks for those carts.
And this will also include retiring some of the Chromebooks that we presently have.
It does, yep. So we'll have an annual replacement, recycling, and replacement program.
And this is coming out of the bond issue?
It is.
And once again, technology is what we do. We have technology, and we saw it today at when we had an opportunity to visit the elementary schools. But technology is a critical delivery system for our students. It's integrated within technology, and once again, if we didn't have the bond issue and it wasn't supported by our community, this would be coming out of general fund and would have a direct effect on what we could do as it relates to direct instruction for our students. The other question I have is, I know when we were buying technology during the height of the pandemic, there was real challenges as it relates to delivery. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, we've seen a great improvement on the supply chain issues as it relates to Chromebooks. During the pandemic, or actually right after with the chip shortage, we were really seeing some long delivery lead times on Chromebooks that has very much improved. So we're seeing about a 6 to 8 week at the longest lead time for new devices.
So if this is approved by the Board of Education at the May 1st board meeting, we'll be able to have this in place for the beginning of the school year. Any other questions, comments? All right, seeing none. Calendar, first day, Dr. Slough.
Turn it over to Mr. Cabernier.
I'll take that. As you know, we are continuing to negotiate with the HVEA. One of the things on our list is calendar. That is something that is to be negotiated between the parties each year. We do have a countywide calendar that is establishes some of the breaks, and we look at that as a starting point. As we continue to negotiate on the complete calendar, it has been tentatively agreed by the parties that the first day of school for students for the next school year would be September 5th, 2023. So that is the Tuesday after Labor Day. So we are recommending the Board of Education, in order to put that in place, we need the board to take action on that. We are recommending the Board of Education approve September 5th to be the first day of school for students at the May 1st board meeting.
Any questions? So this will be brought forth at the May 1st for our formal approval.
Yeah, we can bring it back for a second reading. It's out there, so the community knows this is this is what our request is. The board can also choose to take action this evening, totally up to the board. There is a tentative agreement
this is out,
as Mr. Chaburner
this is out.
mentioned.
Normally, we don't do this, but if there's agreement or if there's a motion, I certainly would entertain that.
Just remind me that the county recommends a date, the state of Michigan recommends a starting date. And did we have to ask for a change?
So that would be part of the negotiations process. John, anything else?
Yeah, the start date is typically after Labor Day. The district can request a waiver if it's before Labor Day. So in this case, we would not need to request for any waiver.
Okay, that answers it.
Okay.
Thank you.
In the last 2 years, we've had a post-Labor Day start, primarily at that time because of construction that was going on, correct? Any other questions?
I'm just going to say, based on head nodding, I'm going to move that the board moves forward to approve the start of the school year for next year tonight.
Do I have a second?
I'll support.
Who supported that? I'm sorry.
Me.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? As I said, that we normally do a first reading and then a second reading. Yes.
I think with the importance of people getting their schedules set up for the fall, that taking that into account would be a good enough reason to forego our normal procedure and just vote on this tonight as well, personally.
Okay. All right. This is only the start of this. We're only approving the first day because the rest of it is subject to negotiations, correct? Yes, Laura?
That was exactly what I was going to say after making the motion. All of a sudden, I look back to our dwindling audience and I'm like, we're cool, right? That this is something we can approve and it doesn't impact negotiations or anything. Yeah.
There is a tentative agreement on the first day of school specifically, so there's no issue with approving this.
All right. Seeing no objections and that fact that we have a motion and a second, could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Dodd?
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
Ms. Grzymkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Cotter?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
And Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Motion passes September 5th.
No problem. Public comments, if needed, on non-agenda. Terry, Jennifer, Martin, you have any public comment? Fred, anything? Rose? All right. Good and welfare. Any good and welfare? Yes, Laura.
Just a little bit. Our third graders and third grade educators bravely moved forward with the M-STEP last week. This is a heavy lift both for our educators and our kids. So thanks to everybody for making that a very positive experience for the kids. We are in the middle of testing Palooza here in the Huron Valley Public School world. For good or ill, the great thing about Huron Valley Schools is we don't just test to test, we test to learn from what we're getting back from the tests. So thanks to everybody for all your work putting into that, both the kids and our educators for making this as positive an experience as possible.
I always say winners adjust, and our third graders had to adjust because there was an issue at the state level, and we had to test on a different date than what we originally had to. So congratulations to the third graders and our staff to adjust. Denise?
Just a reminder, Hello Dolly play is being presented at Lakeland this weekend, so get your tickets for that. And then I know our meeting's gone long, but I just wanted to do a little shout out for the NSBA conference. Those of us that were lucky to go, there were some great sessions, notwithstanding ours from Dr. Salah and Mr. Carlson. Lots of feedback, and it was a great session. But I specifically went to a session on national school law news, and great discussion, lots of talk about Supreme Court making decisions and about prayer in school and things coming down the road. So I guess it's just another reason why these conferences are so important to go to. There's really a lot to learn, and you get out of your district and really talk with other people. And so it was just great. And I just wanted to say that.
Yes, Jacob.
I had the opportunity to go to, it was at Milford Muir Middle School, did a production of SpongeBob. So my son loved it. It was a huge success. He brought one of his little buddies, and they were getting signatures after. So that really, they did an outstanding job, and we already have tickets for Hello Dolly on Friday. So
SpongeBob gives out autographs?
it was, SpongeBob's, the students did, yes. And the last thing I was going to mention was the May 2nd, we also have the kindergarten and the JK orientation.
Yeah.
So just as a reminder, we'll be there.
Good point. Anything else? Yes, Amy?
Thank you for inviting me to Vibe in the Valley. I know our teachers are so dedicated, but when you hear about just the way in which they give up their family time, their off time to be certified in areas to bring new tools back to their classroom, I'm amazed by them. I mean, I was brought to tears several times in that conversation. I just wanted to hug every one of these teachers for what they do for our kids. Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up. At Country Oaks, it was always Staff Appreciation Week because we appreciate everybody who pours into our kids. But if you have an opportunity, thank a teacher. If they'll let you hug them, hug them. But thank a teacher. Or kiss them. But
I don't know.
I'm sorry, no kissing. But they really do go above and beyond every day for our students, and they don't get the recognition that they need or they deserve. But I want to say thank you to all of them today.
And thank you for attending. I appreciate that. Great. Anything else? One, good and welfare. I just want to announce that on our schedule, but I think it's been changed already on our website. Our future board meetings throughout the rest of the school year are going to be here. They were originally scheduled to go to Lakeland High School, but because of the support of our community, where we normally hold it in the large group instruction area is now becoming the new main office over at Lakeland. There's going to be work done here, but we're going to be able to schedule our meetings through May and June here as opposed to Lakeland. So I just want to make sure everybody is aware of that. Any other good and welfare? Seeing none, I would like to have a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of negotiations. Closed session is something that we can go into for a variety of reasons. Discussion as it relates to negotiations is one of them. That is the only item that we will discuss. We will adjourn this meeting, go into closed session if there's approval, and there will not be any further votes or discussion after the closed session is adjourned. So with that, we need to have a motion to go into closed session.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Amy, and do I have a second?
Sure.
Laura? And we need to have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Grzynkowski.
Yes.
Miss Dodd.
Yes.
Miss Cotter.
Yes.
Miss Ryan.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. Dimick.
Yes. I really don't.
And Mr. Weissman. Mr.
Yes.
Weissman.
With that, our general meeting is in recess, and we will be going into closed session.